Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. I wanted to show you how to do the stitches in this lovely velvet crochet blanket. I actually called it the soft and sweet textured velvet crochet blanket. This texture here is achieved by alternating between the front post and the back post double crochet. And then in between each row, I did a row of single crochet just because it's velvet yarn and it can be slippery. I wanted to make sure I had a little bit more stability. And then the edge here is worked in a half double crochet, and I actually worked in between the stitches, and that creates just a lovely texture that way. I think it's going to be hard to see in velvet yarn. I will have a tutorial. I'm going to show this working in worsted yarn, and I do have a tutorial after this included in the second part of the video where I'm actually working on one of the gray rows in the blanket, so you can see how it is to work with a velvet yarn. But I at least wanted to show you using a yarn that I think you can see the stitch pattern a little bit better. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, while I'm kind of getting set up here, I wanted to make sure I let you know the details. This will all be available on the website for free on patternprincess.com. The finished size is 57 inches long and 43.5 inches wide. The gauge is 12 single crochet to every 4 inches. The color rows, there's 10 of like a gray. I'll have the specific colors on the website when I get it all written out, but there's like 10 of the gray, 4 of the pink, 10 of the aqua color, and then 4 of the white. And then those colors repeat throughout the pattern, but the stitch pattern itself does not. This is actually a 2-row repeat once we get to row 4. 4 and 5 are the repeating rows. So okay, so I have 16 chains here already done to get it started, and I'm going to yarn over, and then in the 4th chain, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th chain from the hook, I'm going to do a double crochet, and then in each stitch across. So that's pretty easy. You're going to yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. Those first chain 3 right here that we skipped, that does count. It's a double crochet. All right, so we're going to yarn over, go into the next loop here, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. So we're going to continue this pattern until the very end. And this is just going to be setting up the work that we're going to do in row 3. So this is row 1, and it's really just a double crochet row. So I'll hurry up and get through this row here for you. We're almost done, but I wanted to make sure that you had a nice enough swatch here that you can see it. And it's curling a little bit on me, but that's okay. It's going to straighten out as soon as you get more stitches on this. I'm not even worried about that. By the time I get to row 3, we won't even notice that little curl there. It will be all gone. But if you notice, I'm not doing extremely tight stitches either. I do try and snug up the stitches when I'm working on the velvet yarn though. Okay, and there's my last one, and I have a double crochet in each one. So I'm going to turn it. Then I'm going to chain 1, and that does not count as a stitch. I'm going to single crochet right in this first stitch, so I don't yarn over. You just put your hook through, grab your yarn, bring it through, yarn over, and go through the 2 loops. That's a single crochet. So we're going to do it again in the next stitch. Put your hook through, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through. And that's how you single crochet. So I'm going to single crochet all the way across, and I'm going to hold the yarn back here so you can kind of see a little bit closer what's going on, and try and hold it flat for you. So we're just doing a single crochet all the way across. And this is row 2. So far it's pretty easy, right? This is an easy pattern with lovely results. I tell you, the stitch pattern of that alternating front post, back post, double crochet really creates a nice squishy and just soft texture paired with the yarn. And I got to make sure we get one in the very last one. And there we go. So we have row 1 is a double crochet, row 2 is single crochet, right? Simple. Okay, so row 3, I'm only going to chain 2, 1, 2. This does count as a double crochet. And the reason I'm only doing 2 is because here's that row of single crochet right here, right here. We're going to be working in this row here, the very first row. So you see the post of these stitches. Here's the initial chain 3 that counts as a stitch. So I've just done my 2 chains, and the reason I've done my 2 chains is because I'm doing a front post and back post in the row below, and so not row 2, but in row 1 we're going to be working. And so that makes it a little bit shorter stitch. So I didn't want to have a big gap here at the beginning, so I only chained 2. So we're going to yarn over, and then on this, and you're just going to alternate. It doesn't matter if you do a front post first or a back post, doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go in front of this double crochet behind the post, and in front of this one, grab my yarn, bring it through, and then keep it a little bit loose. I kind of bring it up a little bit, yarn over, bring it through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. The first one's done. Yarn over. Now because you went behind this one, right? Now the next one we're going to go behind our work and in front of that post and behind the other post and bring it through carefully. There we go. And bring it up, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. Gonna yarn over again. Now we're going to go to that next one again. So we're going to go ahead of this one we just worked, behind this post and ahead of this one. And then I like to make sure that I bring my yarn in front of my work here like I did. See that? I use my finger to bring my yarn up, and I yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops, and yarn over, go through 2 loops. I'm going to go now the next row, we're going to alternate to the other way. So we're going to go behind this post here that we just worked, and in front of the post here, and behind the other post, grab the yarn, and then bring it through. See that? And then bring it up a little bit, yarn over, go through 2 loops, and yarn over through 2 loops. And I'm going to keep alternating this pattern. I'm going to go to the end, and then I'm going to show you what this looks like here. Oops. And sometimes you do snag a loop or something, so that's okay. You just got to regroup, bring it through again. And so we're going to get all the way to the end. We just got a couple more stitches. Then I'm going to lay this flat and let you see how we're looking. There we go. And we only just got a couple more. I have 3 more after this. We are going to be ending with a double crochet in the last stitch. And then we go behind and front and behind. My yarn is getting, there we go. And then we're going to end. So I just went through this post over in front of this post here. We're going to end with a double crochet right here in our last single crochet that was in row 2. Okay, now I'm going to lay this down. So this here, see how this is starting to look? See that puffy structure? Isn't that nice? Single crochet row. So we're going to turn it, and we're going to chain 1, which doesn't count as anything. And then we're going to just do a single crochet in this first stitch and in every stitch across. So this is just like you did for row 2. I had to double check which row that was in, so I didn't tell you. So this is real easy. This is a very easy row. And of course, row 4 then is our repeating row. And then row 5 is a repeating row. With row 5 is just your single crochet that we're doing now. My yarn had gotten tangled. There we go. And so row 4, so now when you do your single crochets, you got to kind of separate and look. Because you might have, if you left it scrunched, you might have thought that this was your last stitch here, but it's not. You have this post here, and then you have your initial chain 2 right here. So we're going to stick a hook in here, and then you still have 1 stitch to go. So you got to put it in that top chain of the initial chain 2. And sometimes that snugs up, so you're going to have to work it in. And I don't know if I got it worked in. Thought I did. There we go. All right, so then this row is done. But now you see, now that I've added, pardon me, I got a little bit of frog in my throat. But you see how just by adding this single crochet row, you see how that provides that stability here? Compared to when I just had my front post and back post alternating row. I just think it adds so much stability. And when you're working with that velvet yarn, because it has a tendency to be slippery and sometimes the stitch wants to pull a little bit, I just think that adding this row, a single crochet, really helps stabilize this pattern. Okay, so we're going to turn it. And so again, here is going to be your repeating rows here. So we're going to do row 5, and this is going to count as your double crochet. Now you'll notice here, this particular row here, you can tell that you went ahead of the stitch. So now we're going to do the opposite. So if the stitch is sticking up, okay, you're going to work around behind the post you're on, in front of that post, and then behind the next post. Bring your yarn through, and then complete your double crochet. Yarn over. Now this one here, the post is away from you, right? It's on the other side. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to go in front of this post here, behind that post, and then in front of the next post, and yarn over, bring it through, go through 2 loops and through 2 loops. So we're going to continue. You see how I did that? We're going to continue alternating. So because this, again, because this stitch is sticking up, we're going to go behind and then go in front of this post and behind the other. Yarn over, bring it through 2 loops and 2 loops. Yarn over, and again, we're not working in that single crochet stitch, we're working down here below. Because this post is facing away, we're going to go in front of this post here, behind this post, and in front of this post, and yarn over, bring it through, and bring it through 2 loops and through 2 loops. And again, all you're going to be doing here is alternating. Once when I was working on the blanket, once I figured out which way the first one was going, the first stitch of the row, if I had to go in front of it or behind it, then I just knew that the other stitch I had to go the opposite way. And so I didn't even pay attention after a while because you just knew it was the opposite way. So it was just the first stitch that I was messing with. And as you can see, it'll actually work up pretty quick. And then after this, we do our single crochet row again. So this is the bigger row that's repeating. So once you get this down, you'll be able to work these 2 rows, and it's really just the front post, back post, alternating, half double crochet, worked in the row below, 2 rows below I should say, and then the next row is your single crochet. So we're up to our last stitch, and then this last one we put right on top of that single crochet. And then here we go. This row is number 5. And again, look at how different this looks with no single crochet row. If you do want to adjust the length of your blanket, you can either make sure, well, I would make sure that you planned out what color row you wanted to stop at. But additionally, I would also stop at the single crochet row because it's a lot nicer when we put on the border to have that single crochet row to work on. It just provides, I think, a little bit more stability. So I'm going to do a few more rows, and then I'm just to kind of square this up. And then when I get back here, I'm going to do the single crochet row here, chain 1, and I went in that first stitch. But anyways, I'll do a few more rows and then on my own here, and then when the next part of the video, what I'm going to show you on is how to do the crochet border. It's really simple. The first round is just single crochet stitches, and then the next round is the half double crochet stitches, but I do them in between the stitches not between the top 2 loops, which creates another beautiful look. So again, I'm to the last part, and again, I have that post here, and then I have that initial chain 2. So we got to go single crochet here, and then 1 more single crochet right here, and that finishes it off the next row, and that's actually row 6. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep repeating these rows. This row here is your front post, back post, and this row here is your single crochet. So you keep repeating these 2 rows all the way through, and the only thing that you change is your colors. And then I'm going to meet you right back here, and we're going to work on the border. Okay, welcome back. I've done a few more rows, and actually I did the border once already on this, so you're going to see some of the stitches along here have a little bit bigger hole already. That's because I've already had my hook in them. My phone actually filled up with video, and I had to delete some videos, so I had room on my phone to record this. Good Lord. So anyway, I have a square here. We're going to go again. I'm just using a different color yarn so you can tell what this looks like. And I'm going to join this with a slip stitch, because this is a nice way to join yarn for the border, because then I'm not worried about it coming out. There we go. And of course, this is where I put my hook the last time. You can see it's a little bit bigger hole. But I did finish with a single crochet row here, and this is the side I just happened to be starting on. You could start anywhere you'd like. So I'm going to put the hook through here. Then I'm going to yarn over and bring it through both the 2 loops that I'm on and also the slip stitch that I had on the hook. So this first round is just single crochet stitches. So I'm just going to put my yarn or my hook through the 2 loops here, the yarn loops. And if I were crocheting this as a blanket, I would be crocheting a little bit over my tail here. So I'm going to just do that. What the heck, this is what I would actually do. And then I would just do it for a few stitches, and then I would let it drop off, because I would weave it in then a little bit too, just to give it extra stability. Okay, whoops. Now we'll let that drop off. I'll send this to the back. There we go. And then this round, though, like I said, is just single crochet stitches in every stitch along. And of course, when you're on this side, it's very easy to figure out your single crochet and where to put your stitch in every one. I'm going to show you how I did the sides. In each corner, and the first one's coming up, right here in each corner, we're going to do 3 single crochet. What that does is it helps it lay flat and eases your yarn or stitches around the corner. Now here's the edge. Here's the sides, and you got one, on each side. So what I did, and I tried to explain in the pattern, because remember we had a chain 2 for each front post and back post, the double crochet row. And then this here, this little hole right here, this is from the single crochet row, and this is from that chain stitch. So that's a really nice little hole to see, and it's a nice secure little hole. So what I did, and if you have too many stitches on the side, it's going to weave. Like you'll get like a ripple. And then if you have too little, it'll look kind of sparse. You kind of want it to look even, like this will, and like this, the top and bottom will. So what I did is I just did 2, so I did 1 single crochet in my chain 2 space. Then I did 1 single crochet in that chain 1, where we did the chain 1 space for the single crochet. So each row just got 1 single crochet. And I found that eased the stitches around this very nicely. And then because I'm using the exact same stitches here, it goes kind of quickly, because you know exactly where to put your hook then. Then we're at our next corner, and this was our row that we started with. And so this, of course, is going to be a little bit bigger gap, because we had started with that, the 4th chain, we started with that double crochet. So just leaves a little bit bigger gap. So rather than go through here, I'm actually going to go through the stitches here, and I'm going to do my 3 single crochet. Because then that doesn't it doesn't open up that gap anymore. You see how that kind of starts to close that up, and it just looks nicer. So then on the bottom here, this was our initial chain. So we had worked our double crochet this way. So you got to think about, this was the bottom, and we worked that way. So this was our initial double crochet, and it's in the top loop. So now these bottom loops right here in each one, that's another spot where we're gonna, that's like another stitch. So each double crochet should have a single crochet in the bottom of it in that same stitch. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a single crochet in each stitch on the bottom. I just wanted to make sure that you can tell how that stitch pattern lines up there. And then we're going to come to the next corner here, and I'm going to do 3 single crochet. And then I'll ease it up the side again, and we'll be right on to our second row here. And then we do 1, 2, 3. Okay. So then again, this was our double crochet row, so I'm going to put my stitch in right here. Then this is our single crochet row. So each row just gets 1. And right there. Right here. And we're almost up to the side. And I'm going to show you, I'll lay this flat. And I'll show you, I mean, it looks pretty good by placing your stitches like this. And I do like to have my single crochet, and then right here I'm going to do 3 single crochet, is a foundation row often when I'm working a border on a blanket, because it just provides so much stability. So this here is where we did our slip stitch. Right here where we joined our yarn, you can kind of see right here. But this here is our first stitch we worked into, actually right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work one more stitch right in here so we don't have that unsightly gap. And then I'm going to skip over our chain 1 that we did. And I'm going to join my yarn with a slip stitch into that first single crochet, the top 2 loops. And that will complete round 1. And I'm doing this right here. See how that nice it looks? Get this pulled. See if I were going to actually block this or something, it would look nicer. But anyways. See, it doesn't look too bad all the way around, and I have a nice foundation to work. Now then the next row is going to be done with half double crochets. And it's a half double crochet in each stitch around with 3 in each corner. Rows 3 through 6, there's 6 rows in this border. That's where we're going to work our half double crochet in between the row below half double crochet. So this here, the row I'm going to do with a half double crochet, it's pretty normal. But I'm going to chain 1, which doesn't count as anything. So I'm going to yarn over in this first stitch right here. Insert your hook, yarn over. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. Yarn over, go through the next stitch. Yarn over, bring it through. Yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, so that is your half double crochet. And I'm going to, and the nice part is, even on the sides, it doesn't matter. Because our single crochet is there, right? So it's really easy to know exactly where your stitch is. We just go through the top 2 loops in every stitch. Now, I'll do one more here. Let's take a look at the edge, at the corner. So you can tell when you look in this hole here, in the stitch, the blue stitch, you can tell that there's two loops for each stitch leading into here. So there's 1, 2, 3. Those are your 3 corner stitches. So this is number 1. We're going to do our half double crochet here yet. This is number 2. So this is that middle stitch of the 3 corner stitches. In that middle stitch, we're going to do 3 half double crochets. That's why he's pointing that out to you. 2, 3. And then we're moving on. And then a half double crochet in each stitch. Now we're going up the side. Whoopsies. I must have had my yarn on the wrong side there. I'm going to show you one more time how to do the corner. And I'll work the rest of it here and join it, and then we'll go on to row 3. So here's the corner stitches again, right? You can see real close. So this first one gets a half double crochet, and then you can see those stitches right in the loop there. and this one gets 3 half double crochet in the one stitch. And you're going through both loops, 2, 3. And then our next one's right here, and we half double crochet, and we just keep going. And I'm going to lay this down flat here. Okay, see how nice this is starting to look? It just looks nice with the border. So I'm going to do around here, and I'm going to come back by here, and I'll end this row, and then we're going to start round 3, which is really your repeating row, okay? Okay, I've just about finished round 2, and I'm just to the end here. I just went around my corner. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to do this stitch here yet. This here, this was our first half double crochet. This was our chain 1 space, okay? So I'm going to half double crochet in here yet, because, okay, let me show you. If I went from here to here, if you took a look at how this looks, you'd see that. You see that kind of an open gap there? You can tell like something's missing. So what I do is I'm going to go ahead and work one more right here in that stitch where I had the chain 1. So now this has a stitch, and then I'm going to work, so if you look here, I'm trying to show you the stitches. So you have 1 stitch here and 1 stitch here. There's this part right here that's like missing a stitch yet. And that's where that chain 1 was, because it'll just look funny. So I'm going to go right in here and do my half double crochet, maybe, but then into that first half double crochet stitch, I'm going to slip stitch in. Now when I look at it, it covers, I mean, I'm going to have, like, you'll end up with a little bit of a line here where you can kind of see a line. It'll actually be kind of kitty corner, and there's probably maybe a better way of doing this, but this is how I do it. But you can't, that's all that you see. You don't see an unsightly gap, okay? So when you read the pattern, that's what I was trying to explain in the pattern. So now we're going to go on to round 3, and this is the repeating round. So chain 1, which doesn't count as anything, and then this first, not in the first 2 loops here, we're going to be working down here in between the posts. So down here, not up here. There's like the loops up here, and then there's another bar here. There's another yarn right here underneath the 2 loops. We have this yarn here. So we're going underneath it all and going right next to the bars. And that's where we're going to work our half double crochets. When I did that with the velvet yarn, it had a really pretty look to it. And I'm going to do, so that was the first one. So again, we work in between those bars. And when you come to the corner, you still work 3 half double crochet in that corner stitch. But leading up to the corner, I'm going to show you on either side of that corner, you're still going to work on either side of the bar. Okay. Creates a really nice stitch pattern, and I'll also show you the velvet one here too. So we're coming up close to the corner. Here's our 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Those are our 3 stitches in the corner. I'm going to work in this bar yet, and then we're going to do our 3 half double crochet, and then I'm going to work in this bar yet. So I'm going to work in each bar that's on the side of my 3 half double crochets in the middle. So we're going to go in here, and then we're going to do 3 half double crochets in this middle one, in the middle stitch. And then we're going to see that right, that first bar right after here, we're going to work right in that bar, and then we're going to continue on. And that's how we're going to do it all the way around, and we're going to do the same thing for rows 4, 5, and 6. And I'll go to the end here, the next corner here, and show you one more time what I did. And when I end this row, I'm going to end it just like I did that row before, making sure that I half double crochet over. That's right underneath that chain 1 space. And then I'll join it with a slip stitch into that first stitch that I did. Here's the corner. See those 3 stitches? You can see by the vertical bars. So I'm going to yarn over and go in between this stitch. Then here's my top 2 loops. We're going to go in there and do our 3 half double crochet. And then again, right back into our first, between our first stitches there. Okay, and now look, here we go. See how that's nicely taking shape, and it has a really nice look to that stitch pattern when you go in between. And again, I would work this pattern. This is row 3. This repeats for 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to quick show you on my blanket. See this? You see how I've worked in between? Maybe you can see it on this side better. But see how I've worked, like here was the stitches, but I've worked down in between there. But look at that lovely texture. It just provides a beautiful texture. And it looks different. It does look different than if you, and you should try it too. It does look different than if you go through the loops. If you go through the top loops, you know, it just pulls a little bit different. This just creates another look of texture for this blanket. But it's really pretty. So this is the tutorial on the blanket and then the border. You could be done with the tutorial now, or right after this, I will have me working on this blanket on the gray row, and I think it's my last couple of gray rows that I was working on as I was finishing this blanket before the border was on. But I'll be showing that to you next. But please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And then I hope that this tutorial does help you with this pattern. I'd really love to see you succeed and make a beautiful blanket like this. It's very soft, very luxurious. I just love the blanket, love the feel. And you can see it's a very lovely, thick, textured blanket. So enjoy. Take care.